In 2010, within the black gold mines of Gabon, humanity unearthed a phantom capable of causing a collective cardiac arrest among geologists worldwide. This pancake-like fossil, boasting a grand age of 2.1 billion years, violently pushed the timeline for the birth of complex life forward by a full 1.5 billion years. This means that 1.9 billion years before the appearance of dinosaurs, Earth had already frantically previewed a grand epic of civilization. But this is exactly where it gets terrifying. After thriving for tens of millions of years, these creatures seem to have had their format button pressed by God. They evaporated completely. Evolutionary history turned out to be non-linear. Instead, it was a lonely reboot cut short halfway through, lasting a billion years. What is even more outrageous is that when scientists carefully observed these fossils under a microscope, they discovered a detail that made their scalps tingle. The zinc content in these things was off the charts. What is zinc? It is the ID card of eukaryotic organisms. Without zinc, your DNA replication would immediately collapse, and cell division would go on strike right then and there. And the zinc content of these 2.1 billion-year-old fossils is actually on the exact same order of magnitude as modern organisms. This means that in the billion-plus years before the Cambrian explosion, there might have already existed a batch of highly advanced life forms. They were capable of breathing, moving, and perhaps even thinking. But the question is, where did they go? Scientists descended into madness, beginning a frantic global search for similar fossils, but the results brought despair. For a full 10 years, they found these things only in a small ravine in Gabon. There was absolutely nothing anywhere else. This is like the ancestors of all humanity appearing only in a single alleyway in Beijing, and then bizarrely evaporating from the world. It wasn't until 2019 that a French paleobiologist named Abderrazak El Albani proposed a terrifying hypothesis. He stated that the reason these creatures appeared only in Gabon is that their environmental requirements were extremely abnormal. They required a shallow marine delta with abundant oxygen, a water depth not exceeding 200 meters, and a temperature between 20 and 30 degrees Celsius. On the Earth 2.1 billion years ago, the only place globally that met these conditions might have been that one small patch. In other words, the Francevillian Biota was like a group of prisoners trapped on an isolated island. They evolved frantically for tens of millions of years in that tiny paradise, yet could never escape that prison. But the story isn't over. In 2023, a research team from Cambridge University conducted an even bolder experiment. They simulated the atmospheric environment of Earth 2.1 billion years ago and discovered a horrifying truth. In that era, atmospheric oxygen levels briefly soared to nearly 10% of modern levels, but only maintained this for 20 million years before plummeting. It plummeted precipitously to less than 1%. 20 million years sounds long, but on the geological timescale, it is just the blink of an eye. It is as if you just moved into a new house, and the house collapsed before you could even arrange the furniture. The Francevillian Biota caught up with the most short-lived golden age in Earth's history. And then, at the moment oxygen was depleted, the entire army was wiped out. What is even more terrifying is that they might not have starved to death, but rather suffocated. Scientists found massive amounts of sulfide deposits in the rock strata around the fossils. This indicates that the ocean at that time was undergoing a severe anoxic event. Seawater turned from oxygen-rich to highly toxic, and the entire process might have taken less than 10,000 years. For these organisms that had just evolved complex respiratory systems, this was a mass suffocation event of biological proportions. So, what exactly did they look like? This question tortured scientists for over a decade, because these fossils are so poorly preserved. They basically all look like puddles of mud, showing no details at all. But in 2021, a team from the Max Planck Institute in Germany used a technique called high-resolution X-ray microtomography. They finally saw their internal structure clearly, and the results left everyone dumbfounded. These things have distinct layered structures. The outer layer is a thick protective membrane, the middle is some sort of soft tissue, and the very core even appears to have a box-like structure. This means they might have already evolved organ differentiation. Organ differentiation means different parts of the body started having specific roles. Some were responsible for absorbing nutrients, some for reproducing, and some for sensing the environment. This complexity is hailed as the ultimate hallmark of multicellular organisms in modern biology. And the Francevillian Biota had already figured this out 2.1 billion years ago. But what makes one's blood run cold is their method of extinction. Above the fossil layer, scientists found a 3-meter thick layer of black shale. It contained almost no signs of life. This means that after the extinction of the Francevillian Biota, that ocean became a dead sea. It maintained a lifeless state for millions of years. It is like a carefully planned murder. The killer was oxygen depletion, environmental mutation, or perhaps some cosmic disaster we still cannot comprehend. No one knows. What is scarier is that this might happen again. Earth's oxygen levels aren't constant, but fluctuate continuously. If one day, in the future, atmospheric oxygen levels plummet again, will we, the organisms surviving on oxygen, end up like the Francevillian Biota? In the geological record, only a thin layer of fossils remains, later excavated by intelligent life of the next era. It would be affixed with the label of a mysterious extinct species. So, the next time you take a breath, think about this story. Every breath of oxygen you take is the product of countless biological mass extinctions and major revivals. And the oxygen-rich world we enjoy now in Earth's 4.6 billion year history is merely a brief, fragile accident. The Francevillian Biota used their extinction to tell us life is never something to be taken for granted, and prosperity is not eternal either. They also grew wildly on Earth, thinking they would survive forever. The result, 2.1 billion years later, they are just a few blurry fossils and a bunch of unsolved mysteries left for scientists. Perhaps one day, we will also become the next Francevillian Biota, dug up by a future civilization. After studying us for half a day, they will conclude, this group of creatures was quite complex, but we don't know how they went extinct. Earth is 4.6 billion years old. Life is 3.8 billion years old, and complex life might have appeared more than once. We are not the first masters, nor will we be the last. In this long history of the planet, we are just newcomers who recently took the stage, and those true predecessors have long turned into stones beneath our feet, quietly watching us repeat the paths they once walked.